Well, tournament just held, a one-night tournament to crown the brand new World Unified Champion. We will be reviewing that action for you a little bit as we go along. Here's the superstar right here, Bill Dundee. He was involved in that tournament action, too. And, Bill, if you would, join us just for a minute here. The brand new rankings are out now, the USWA Top 10. Of course, the USWA World Champion, the King, Jerry Lawler, is right at the top. But everybody, including yourself, I bet, looking for a shot at that belt.
That's right, and I guess I was the one that was elected. Old Eddie said, go ahead and talk to David, but they're going to show a little tape of some people coming up and just tell them what I know about them, right?
Well, we've got the top 10 list right here. This is, with apologies to David Letterman, I suppose, this is the top 10 list, the challengers for that USWA world title right now. Number 10, Handsome Jimmy Valiant.
What can you say about the Boogie Woogie Man, brother? He just knows it all. He likes to street fight. He likes to wrestle. He likes to do it all. He's number 10, I guess. And Lawler's wrestled him a bunch of times. Well, what can you say about the Boogie Woogie Man except everybody loves him and he'd like to be the world's champion?
He's number 10 on the list. Number 9, a very large and, well, you can say more about him. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Well, the beast from the east, that talks for itself, too. What can you say about Bam Bam? He goes all over the world of wrestling. He's coming in here to try to get a crack at the belt, and he's big and bad, and the name talks for itself. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Number 8 on the list, Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Oh, my God, the more they come, the worse to get. Now, if anybody knows this guy's background, because I do, he's from Oklahoma. He was Big Ten wrestler up there, real good amateur wrestler. He wrestled for Bill Watts in Oklahoma for some years. I met him down there, and that name talks for itself. Believe me, that's one of the baddest dudes in the world, Dr. Death Steve Williams. And if Lawler ever gets hold of him, brother, I don't know. We may have a new champion.
Well, you're exactly right. Also, the man who would have been the number 1 contender, except for one thing. He lost just a couple of weeks ago the USWA Southern Heavyweight belt. Talking about Mr. Excitement, Dick Slater.
All right, now he calls himself Mr. Excitement. When I used to know him, he called himself Mr. Unpredictable. And, brother, that's true about him. I wrestled him in a chain match one time in here before we got hooked up in the chain. He done banged up alongside my head, and the next thing I know, the referee going, 1, 2, 3. So I'm telling you, man, this boy will do anything. So, Lawler, you got your hands full, boy, with this list.
Number 6 on the USWA Top 10 Challenger list, Captain Redneck, he calls himself, Dick Murdoch.
Well, what can you say about the captain? I've known him a long time. When I was a little guy in Australia, he came over there, him and Dusty Rhodes one time. I was just a little guy getting in the wrestling business, so that's how long he's been around. I've known the captain a long time, and that talks for itself. If you lift up the back of his hat, brother, he'd go a redneck. He likes to drink beer, fight, go to bars, do it all. Lawler, woo, what a list you got to contend with, brother. But here's the one I want to talk about.
I want to talk about this one, too. Number 5 on the list, the superstar himself, Bill Dundee. And I tell you what, you give away size, as far as height goes, you give away weight every time you step in the ring, but I must have said 1,000 times on this very program, I don't think you've ever stepped in the ring that you felt like you were the underdog.
That's right, Dave. See, the first book they ever gave me to read was that little black one. It's got words on it. It says Bible, and the first story I ever read was about David and Goliath, and I thought, man, he can't beat this guy. But if you read the book from cover to end, brother, you'll know who won the story. David did, right? And that's how I go through my whole life. Everybody said, I'll beat that little punk up. Well, come on down and try. Big, mean Mark tried, and he never did it, did he?
That's true.
That's right. If it wasn't for downtown Bruno, I believe I would have made it all the way to there, and I got carried away and beat up Bruno, and the referee disqualified me. That wasn't fair, Dave.
It was.
But, like I said, Jerry Lawler, everybody's gunning for you, and it's an awful good list, brother, and I'm halfway there, number 5.
You are number 5 on the top 10 list in challengers. Number 4, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
Well,
yeah, he's certainly not a favorite of the fans.
That's right, and he grew up around here. See, Eddie has a whole host of things that other people don't know, because he grew up right up there in Lexington, Tennessee, and he watched Jerry Lawler all his life, and he watched me, and he's watched everybody else in here. And believe me, the boy is no idiot. He's watched it, stored it in the back of his mind, and he knows what makes you mad, and he knows what don't make you mad, and he has Lawler madder than anybody I've ever seen. I don't know if he meant to run him over in the parking lot with that car or not, but, brother, he got Lawler's attention.
No, he sure did, and has kept it, too. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, number 4. Number 3, Terry Funk.
Well, what can you say about Terry Funk? His daddy was a wrestler, his big brother was a wrestler, so he's, and he's been the NWA World Champion, and he's unpredictable. He'll do anything to win. You can't, like I tell you, Dave, this list is unreal. Lawler, I feel sorry for you, boy. If you go wrestle one of them every night, you'll be dead at the end of a week.
I remember, too, the Terry Funk, Jerry Lawler match. Remember when they had the problem with Terry Funk's eye? His eye, they were afraid it was permanently damaged, and they came in and they had a match at the Memphis Mid-South Coliseum with no audience there.
Right.
Just a wild match.
I'll show you how goofy Funk is. He wanted that. Why
true.
would you want to go wrestle somebody with nobody there?
You're right.
Never got paid, all he got with his eye poked out.
I think maybe his thought processes had something to do with that. We won't talk too much about Mr. Funk there. Number 3 on the list. Number 2, well, the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol. And we'll show you more about this a little bit later on. But he was in the ring for the championship match at the tournament.
Yeah, what can you say about this guy, Dave? See, this is what it's all about. I mean, personalities change and friendships change just because this belt's on the line. Everybody wants to be the top dog, and whatever Idol did or he didn't do or he says or he don't do, he's a very good competitor. He's a real good athlete, and he's number 2, and like I said, this list is... Man, Lawler, I don't know how long you're going to keep this belt, boy.
Austin Idol has also proved that he will turn on you in an instant if it means perhaps winning that belt. Jeff Jarrett, the number 1 contender, because he is the USWA Southern Heavyweight Champion. Number 1 contender there is not the world champion. The number 1 contender is Jeff Jarrett.
See, here's the thing. It's a unique situation. We've got Jerry Lawler, the World's Champion, and I really, well, I can't say I'm a friend of Lawler's. We're off and on love-hate relationship. But, sometimes I help him out, and sometimes he helps me out. If I got to wrestle you, Lawler, that's fine. But Jeff Jarrett, him and I flew over to Dallas on Fridays, and we do all the things we used to do, and I drive up and down the road with Jeff. But the one thing is he's got this belt, and that puts you in the next spot for Lawler's belt. So if I got to climb in the ring with Jeffrey, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to beat him up.
Well, it would be some kind of match to see, Bill.
But the only bad thing about that is that he's going to be beating me up, too. It's not, he used to be the guy who put on about 20 pounds, and he's a great champion. He's a fan favorite, and I hope I am, too. So if we ever get in the ring, it'll be a real good wrestling match.
Bill, thanks for being here with us and running down the top 10 list. We'd like to do this for the fans to show you where the rankings are. And there, of course, right at the top, not the number 1 contender, but number 1 in the USWA, the World Unified Champion, the King, Jerry Lawler. And that's what all the other 10 are going to be shooting for.
That's right, Dave. And what can you say about Lawler? It's all been said about him. It's all been wrote down about him. Some good, some bad, and some in between. But the guy's a great wrestler, great athlete, and a great champion. And the only thing is, I just wish number 5 would get up to be number 1, and I could beat him up, take his belt.
Keep working on it, and I'm sure number 5 will climb into that number 1 contender slot there. Let's take a look. Okay, we'll wait there. Speaking of the number 1 contender, the holder of the Southern Heavyweight belt has always been first in line for the world belt. And the holder of that belt, as we've just indicated, is